Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti. We focus on spirituality, Vedanta, and Sanatana Dharma. Please subscribe our channel for the mystical meanings of the scriptures and daily satsang. Our humble prostrations to all pervading Brahman or God, our worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji Maharaj, all sages in scriptures, and to the divinity in each of you. We are currently exploring the scripture Mysticism of Mahabharata. Commentaries by Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji and narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently on the episode of the departure of Krishna. So continuing, the thousands of members in Krishna's families were incarnations of deities who had come into the world with tremendous strength and energy to defeat demoniac forces. When that job was accomplished, the role was over, and it was time in the divine plan for them to exit. As with all dramatic actors, the exit can take any number of forms. Some exit praying, some exit dancing, some shouting, and some being stabbed by sword-like leaves besides the shore of the ocean. All exit according to their prarabdha karma, the karma that determines the basic plot outline of each embodiment. In the course of the destruction of the Yadavas, Gandhari's curse and the curse of the sages in the form of the Iron Club merely filled in a few colorful details about an exit that had been determined long before in the divine script. Viewed from a more subtle perspective, the death of Krishna and his family gives further insight into what happens in the mental process after one attains enlightenment. After enlightenment, there are two stages to the destruction of the mental process. The first is called Sarupanash, a state in which the mind is there, but due to its purity, does not create bondage anymore. Such a mind cannot create attachment and hatred because it is no longer dominated by the ego. In such a mind, the negative samskaras, vasanas, and vrittis, the subtle impressions lodged in the unconscious, the subtle desires that sprout from these impressions, and the resulting thought waves that flow in the conscious mind have been destroyed by positive ones. This process is symbolized in the Mahabharata by the destruction of the Kauravas. Further, the positive forces themselves have been transcended, symbolized by the night massacre of the sleeping Pandavas, and all the thought waves flow unceasingly towards the self in a process called Brahmakar Vritti. This is the nature of the radiant mind of a Jivan Mukta, a liberated sage who remains embodied to perform the duties prescribed by his remaining prarabdha karma. In the next stage of enlightenment, known as arupanash, even that type of mind begins to dissolve as the prarabdha karma of a jivan mukta is completed. At this time, the sage attains videha mukti, disembodied liberation, and his soul departs from the body to be merged in the self. In the story presented in this chapter of the Mahabharata, Krishna's family represents Brahmakara Vritti and its ramifications. When the Prarabdha karma has terminated and one attains Videha Mukti, even that Brahmakara Vritti must disappear. The curse given to the Yadavas by the sages visiting Dwarka represents the power of intuitional knowledge. People call something a curse because they are viewing only its destructive aspect and ignoring the constructive. For example, from the point of view of darkness, the blazing rays of the morning sun come like a tremendous curse, tearing the darkness apart and destroying it. But from the point of view of the light, those rays are a blessing, fulfilling the benevolent wishes of God for the unfoldment of a new day. Similarly, the curse of the sages carried out the purpose of the divine plan to withdraw those Yadavas when the time had come for their return to their celestial realms. The Iron Club and the plants with sword-like leaves that grew from it symbolize the potential of intuitive knowledge to penetrate the unconscious and destroy all illusions once and for all. The city of Dwarka is a symbol of the intuitive mind. When the purpose of life has been fulfilled, even that purified mind is no longer needed. When a sage enters into Videha Mukti, the intuitive mind dissolves in the ocean of the self. The Yadava wives who entered into the fire represents various sentiments of the mind. Just as the thought waves of the mind are ultimately consumed by the fire of knowledge, so too the feelings of the heart terminate as the enlightened soul melts in the experience of Parabhakti or supreme love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Krishna. So we will continue this episode. The new episode is starting tomorrow. Arjuna seeks the guidance of Sage Vyasa. This is Swami Nikhilanand. Hari Om Tat Sat.